When we think of the Roman Empire, most of us picture stone roads, aqueducts, or armies marching across Europe. What rarely gets attention is how the Romans managed to feed those armies and sustain massive cities for centuries. Their survival depended on agriculture, and while history books focus on politics and war, archaeologists have uncovered something equally fascinating. The Romans had a soil recipe that was far ahead of its time. They weren't just tilling fields and throwing manure. They were deliberately creating living, fertile soil, combining ashes, crushed pottery, and organic waste in ways that look surprisingly similar to modern regenerative practices. And the question we asked was simple. If we bring this forgotten method back, can it revive dead soil today? We tested it, and what we found may change how you think about soil building forever. The Romans did not just farm, they engineered their soil. Roman farmers faced the same problem many of us do today: depleted, overworked ground that seemed to give less each season. Instead of abandoning it, they developed methods to rebuild it. Ancient writings describe how they layered animal manure with straw, mixed wood ash into fields, and even added broken shards of pottery to their plots. Ash supplied minerals like potassium and calcium, pottery fragments improved drainage and aeration, while organic waste provided fuel for soil microbes. The Romans essentially created a man-made soil blend that could endure heavy use. This wasn't guesswork, it was observation, trial, and adaptation, and it laid the groundwork for centuries of productivity. One striking part of the Roman soil formula was the use of ash and lime. After burning wood, brush, or weeds, they didn't discard the remains. They spread ash into their fields, knowing it corrected sour soils and provided essential minerals. In some cases, they added lime, made by burning limestone, to stabilize soils that had grown acidic from years of cultivation. Today we recognize that ash contains potassium, phosphorus, and trace minerals, while lime supplies calcium and improves soil structure. When combined with organic waste, these amendments created a balanced environment that supported both crops and soil biology. In a modern test, we found that small amounts of ash blended into composted manure produced a soil amendment that worms quickly moved into, proving the Romans understood something that still applies today. Another forgotten element of the Roman method was crushed pottery. Archaeologists studying Roman fields have found fragments of terracotta mixed throughout the soil profile. While it may have begun as a way to reuse broken household items, it served a real agronomic purpose. These porous shards acted much like biochar does today. They held moisture, provided refuge for microbes, and improved the physical structure of clay-heavy soils. In our trial, mixing in a small amount of broken, unglazed terracotta alongside compost allowed soils that were previously dense and compact to drain better and stay looser. Roots spread more easily, and microbial activity noticeably increased. The Romans, without naming it, discovered the principle of long-lasting soil structure improvement through stable, porous material. Beyond ash and pottery, Romans also used what they called putrid matter, which was, essentially, early compost. Kitchen scraps, spoiled food, and manure were collected and allowed to rot before being applied to fields. Historical records describe pits where waste was left to ferment, then spread as fertilizer. This wasn't simply dumping waste, it was controlled decomposition, ensuring nutrients were stabilized and, less likely to burn crops. In modern terms, they were pre-composting. When we tested this by combining manure, ashes, and kitchen scraps in a controlled heap, the results were striking. Within a few weeks, the smell faded, heat built and subsided, and the material transformed into a dark, crumbly mix. Once applied to poor soil, it acted quickly, stimulating both plant growth and worm activity. What stands out about the Roman soil recipe is not just what they added, but how they balanced it. See, ash alone can drive worms away if applied in heavy doses. Manure alone can burn plants if used fresh. Pottery shards on their own won't add nutrients. But when combined, they created a system where each part corrected the excesses of the other. Ash provided minerals but was buffered by manure. Manure fueled microbes but was stabilized by ash and shards. Pottery improved soil structure, preventing compaction and waterlogging. This harmony of inputs turned fragile soil into a living system. Our experiment mirrored this. The combined mix revived even a patch of compacted clay where nothing had grown the previous season. Recreating this ancient recipe today doesn't require living near ruins or having amphorae to break. The principle matters more than the exact materials. Wood ash from a clean fireplace can provide the same minerals Romans valued. Crushed terracotta pots or even coarse biochar can mimic the pottery shards. Kitchen scraps, garden waste, and animal manure remain universal. The key is to blend these materials in moderation, ensuring no one ingredient dominates. In practice, this means layering small amounts of ash into compost, mixing broken terracotta or biochar into planting beds, and letting organic matter decompose partially before use. By following the Roman pattern, modern gardeners can turn even poor or depleted soils into fertile ground within weeks rather than seasons. When we tested the Roman soil recipe on a patch of exhausted compact soil, the transformation was clear. Within the first month, worms began appearing where none had been seen before. After 2 months, the soil texture had changed, lighter, darker, and far easier to work. Plants sown into it grew with vigor, showing strong root systems and healthy foliage compared to control plots. While not every element of Roman agriculture should be copied, this experiment proved that their soil recipe is not just history, it is practical, science-backed gardening wisdom that still works. The Romans may be remembered for their empire, but their true legacy for gardeners lies in their soil practices. Their lost recipe, blending ash, organic matter, and pottery, was less about superstition, and more about observing how the earth responds. By reviving these methods, we can rebuild dead soil, feed plants naturally, and create gardens that thrive without dependence on synthetic fertilizers. What was once dismissed as ancient curiosity has real practical value for today's growers. If this deep dive into Roman soil building has inspired you, subscribe to Soil and Plant Doctor for more explorations into lost gardening wisdom and modern soil science. And don't forget to share this video with fellow gardeners, because the secrets of the past may hold the keys to reviving our soils today.